Welcome to another episode of Behind the Needle. I am with Shaun Wootten, my first inventor podcast episode interview. Shaun, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Glad to be here, and
Yeah,
very willing to just talk about MedSpa, but also the Vivace and SoMe, or some of the products that I've invented within the community.
yeah.
So
It's really cool. My first question that I want to ask you is, how did this happen? Did you just wake up one day and you're like, I'm going to invent a device in a skincare line, or like what happened?
yeah. So I don't think it just like hits you one day, right? I think and really the cornerstone of being a startup is really understanding like the customer's pain point. And so like for the Vivace Ultra, which is an RF microneedling device, I always joke around with our customers because they're like, "Oh, like Shaun, like you like invented this thing." It's like,
Yeah.
and then I would be like, "No, you invented it."
Oh,
Because in the early days of Aesthetics Biomedical, we started out as a distributor of product, and so I did have a tie from an engineering standpoint to the manufacturer, but I also oversaw the service department too. And so one of the big things is that over the course of the first 2 or 3 years of the company, I was literally in like hundreds of med spas.
yeah.
And so just flying over the whole nation and really talking with the med spa owner, the practice manager, the esthetician or the nurse that's using the device, and really understanding what their problems are, and
Mm.
really understanding it's like, well, they would say like, oh, the hand piece is too like heavy, like if I have like 5 patients back to back, like it's really hard to hold this hand
It gets
piece.
heavy, yeah.
Like, well, yeah.
Because you're holding it for 30 to 60 minutes, right? Depending on, or more, depending
Yeah,
on how many areas you're doing.
yeah, and so there was that, but also like what I learned, I think, through all of those med spa visits is that it's a large variety. No one's really like doing the same thing.
Hmm.
There is a level of uniqueness, but also um, really there's a big variation of skill to the provider. And so
Yeah.
um, I like started to like figure out, it's like, oh, like what depths do you guys use? In particular, like what energy levels do you guys use?
Hmm.
Like what do your before and afters look like?
Yeah.
And so
And so when you would ask them
yeah.
about the before and afters, you could look at someone's before and after and say, why don't you try to do this instead on your depth or your energy level?
Yep. Yep.
And they'd be like, okay. So then they would go and implement those things, and they're like, oh, you're a genius.
Yeah. Someone actually like call me back, and it's like,
But
oh,
they,
like I like did this and it actually like worked. I'm like, oh
it
yeah, like
actually worked. You're like,
it's
good.
like,
Whew.
and I think that really segues to like when I first entered in the aesthetics sector. Like the biggest things was that I noticed a lot of providers, a lot of even companies were like, okay, I use this and I get this result.
Yeah. It was
N-
very linear, right?
yeah, and no one knew like why. Why did you get that result?
Huh.
And so like there was huge variations of, you can get maybe Sally the esthetician in New York gets great BNAs, but George in Utah, when he uses the devices, they did not work.
Mm.
They were not getting great BNAs, and I think that is determined by the skill level, but also just knowing that why. Like I think in aesthetics, you are treating the skin, which is the largest organ in the human body, but also has very much so the most complexity from like a cell type level. And so you need to know like the layers of the skin, what your modality is actually treating the skin,
Right.
and where in the skin it's treating, and really like what's in your toolbox
Yeah.
to really like repair that skin imperfection.
So you became obsessed with this? Was it something that you were like, this is so incredibly fascinating to me about the why? And then going to hundreds of med spas all throughout the country, you probably realized they have an idea and a sense of what this is just
Yeah.
because they bought the device and they're like, yeah, I'm interested in this. But as you dug deeper, you realized that people didn't really know enough for what you wanted them to in order for them to maximize results for the patients. Is that what happened?
Yeah. Like I think that at the end of the day, I'm an engineer.
Yeah.
And so I think the biggest thing, what an engineer can do is problem solve.
Yeah.
And so I saw like a mixture of maybe complaints, but also a mixture of like, oh, like I'm doing 8 treatments a day.
Yeah.
I'm making all of this money. I'm gonna buy 3 of these,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna be known as like the RF microneedling spa of the state.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's huge variety, but like what I really wanted to, and what my forethought for Vivace Ultra using ultrasound was that I wanted everyone to have those insights,
Yeah.
because some people were treating too shallow, some
Without
people,
even knowing, probably.
yeah, and you can even ask like trained derms like what skin depth, I personally like to ask them. It's like, well, like what's my skin depth? And there is a little bit of like taken aback. It's like, oh, like I don't know. There,
Because if you're asking them, and
yeah.
you know, do you know exactly your skin depths for like the different areas of your face?
Well, now I do, because
Now
I
you do, right?
ultrasounded my skin.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So they knew that you knew. And then when you ask them, they don't want to be wrong.
yeah,
So that probably is like a huge wake up call to them where they're like, oh,
yeah.
if I don't actually get this right, that means that I'm probably getting the rest of them wrong too.
Yeah, and there's lots of variation, and like one of the big things, like when like early on in aesthetics, I think that people were just really like thinking that deeper is better.
For all parts of the face.
Yeah, for all parts of the face, it meant more aggressive treatments. I give my patient a more aggressive treatment. Of course, they're going to have some downtime, but they're going to be happiest with the results at the end of the day. But one of the big things is that like I did a clinical trial in High Point, North Carolina, with Dr. Zoe Dralos, and I had 30 patients, and I ultrasounded their whole bodies, front and back.
That
And
probably took a long time.
yeah,
Did you take
like
breaks in between there? Like eat some snacks or something? Like 30
no,
people head to toe?
head,
You did
like
it without
head to
taking a
toe.
break.
Yeah.
You are Superman.
Yeah. The
You did it with your eyes too. You didn't even use the device. You just have the ultrasound in your eyes, don't you?
Yeah, well, I definitely at the end of the day, I could just like place the ultrasound and just know, like
You're like, you don't even have to touch the skin. You're just like, wave. Yep, I knew it. I knew it.
yeah. I like stopped like trying to like find. I was like, click.
Do you
and,
feel
yeah.
not to like not let you go through with this thought, but can you look at someone now generally and be very close to accurate or completely accurate with the depth of their layers, like just by looking, or do you still need the ultrasound in order to be perfectly accurate?
Yeah. I think that's a very interesting question, and like I think at the end of the day, I would not want to guess.
Yeah.
I would want to know.
So the guy who made the device, who has done this to at least 30 people head to toe, you still would use the device because you can't see it with the naked eye. You have to have this technology in order to really get in there and check, because everybody is different and there's no rhyme or reason. It is what our numbers are, what they are on our face and on our body. So that's interesting. So, okay, back to what we were talking about. So you were interviewing all these people, you realized all the nuances behind it, and then you said, we need to do something different. We have to create this Ultra device that is going to allow them with the smaller handpiece that weighs less.
Yep.
We need to allow them to have better data. This will also, did you want the data too? Were you hoping that it would teach you more for the next device on how to improve the current Ultra? Why did you want to have the data as well?
Yeah, yeah. I think that so the device does connect to the cloud, and like
Uh-huh.
one of the biggest things is that like I initially wanted to get the ultrasound data, and it's actually very interesting because a lot of devices on the market, like they don't have the opportunity to actually get all this data. Like I think in aesthetics, like you you get to see so much skin that you can have like a ton of ultrasound data where now we can drive better results, better algorithms,
Yeah.
better updates for our systems. And like if you actually look at the screen, it's almost like it has that Tesla style screen, and we like try to like push updates to it and really try to get better results. And I think in the future we'll have better algorithms to really tailor treatments for different indications. Like if you ultrasound over a wrinkle or a scar, we could really tailor that and really segment that off.
Does it use any type of artificial intelligence currently?
Yeah, yeah. I think that I'm personally not going to jump on the AI train. I think that at the end of the day, we just have really good math in the background doing that analysis. We have been thinking about maybe in introducing some LLMs or learning algorithms, but as of right now, it's just really good math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, an LLM is a large language model. It's basically like you think of ChatGPT, and this is kind of how it's able to give you the information that it gives you when you ask it certain prompts. So, um, so you mentioned that it's got a lot of really good math going on in the background. So is it in real time able to scan? How does it work? Does it use the ultrasound right before it pokes the needles into the body, or do you ultrasound first and then you know where to go, and does it auto change the settings? Like
Yeah.
how does it actually work?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, if you just started, the patient would be there. You would first ultrasound the skin.
The whole area you're going to treat.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And does it
and
map it out?
yeah, and so you'll actually have selections of where you would be ultrasounding. So you would tell the machine, it's like, okay, I'm gonna do the right cheek, left cheek, forehead,
Okay.
and then
In this order,
no, it can be in any order,
any order.
and then you can treat however many regions you would want.
Got it.
And so I really did not want to do an order because I think that restrains the provider at that
And
point.
what if they forget the order?
Exactly, exactly. And
Right.
so and I think at the end of the day, you want to get your patient out like fast so you can get the next patient in and get
Sure.
your ROI. And so one of the things is that so you ultrasound the skin, and you start out with a very basic black and white image.
Okay.
In black and white, people think it's like black and white, but it's really like a black and white, like different shades.
Hmm.
And so we actually take every single pixel of that, and then there's different pixel intensity of your epidermis, and then also your dermis or your hypodermis, which is your fat, and then also bone. And so we can delineate the epidermis and dermis just based off of pixel intensity. And so we just and then we actually convert those shades to colors, so we can better visualize, and then also a untrained operator can read the image better. But also it will also give the provider epidermal values and then dermal values. And so I think that's very key. And then in the future, like we do have plans to put the ultrasound handpiece inside the RF handpiece for this on-demand feedback, and we actually have a patent for that too.
That's rad.
Yeah.
How many years did it take you to develop where it is today?
It was roughly 3 years, and I think it could have went faster. Obviously, I think in the midway point it was COVID.
Okay.
It was 2020, and there was
So
definitely
it could have gone like a full year faster, or 6 months, or
Yeah. I think it could have went at least 6 months faster. It could be a full year if other challenges did not arise. But yeah, it like when I tell that to like large companies, these like billion-dollar companies, they're like amazed about like what we have done as like a small team, because even companies with like unlimited money have trouble
Yeah.
building a device and bringing it out.
that was going to be my next question. Like, how hard is it to make? Could I make an RF device?
Probably not.
No, probably not. I was joking anyway, because I literally would be like, okay, what is the box going to be made out of? Plastic? Like, that would be my first question.
Yeah. I actually know a guy in Canada. He has a product design firm, and one of his clients actually had Texas oil money, and basically the guy like told him like, oh, like I need this built, and he was like, call me when it's built and cleared. And so yeah, I guess if you have unlimited resources, you don't need to know anything. But yeah.
But then it's still very expensive. So you were at Arizona State when you were an intern, and then you graduated. You were an engineering student, right? That was your major. Okay. And how did you get in contact with them? Because you were an intern and then you turned out to be the second or third employee.
Yeah, I was the founding member of the R&D department
as an intern.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So they just posted for a job on the ASU job board, and you're like, oh.
No, it was definitely a little bit more of a journey than that, for sure. At Arizona State, as a biomedical engineering student, I did 3 years in the ASU Biodesign Institute.
Okay.
Studying DNA nanotechnology. And then I did a 1-year stint doing CRISPR for DARPA. So that's we were trying to regenerate the cochlea of the ear for noise-induced hearing loss.
Okay.
For military veterans.
Wow.
And so like everything changed when I went on my study abroad, actually, to Israel.
Oh.
And people think that it's Israel, but it's actually to Silicon Valley and startups. And so I was there for entrepreneurship.
Wow.
And I learned, and I met with founders and VCs. And so I came back and was like, I really like this whole like this VC concept.
Yeah.
And I took a venture capital class at WP Carey.
Okay.
and I met a principal of Tall Wave Capital here in Scottsdale, and then I proposed to them. It's like, oh, like I know engineering, I know chemistry. I can look over some of the deals before you guys do funding. I can do the due diligence, and so I met with Nate there, and he actually was like, Shaun, like the your resume is very, very good. But we spent most of our money in the fund, and then two, I think that you would actually be better within a startup than funding startups.
Mm.
And so he actually sent my resume out to various startup companies, but one of those was Marianne, which was founder of BioExcel and Aesthetics Biomedical at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then I think the journey, like I guess history wrote itself there.
Wow.
Yeah.
College is good for something, apparently, for some people.
Yeah. I think I'm a special circumstance.
This is an Arizona State success story right here. This is the success story. It's funny. I went to WP Carey as well at ASU and studied business management, which is code for I really don't know what I want to major in or do with my life after college. So I'm just gonna get a business management degree. And it was interesting. Most of the case studies in the Harvard Business Review, papers that we read were all about these companies that were building 9 to 10 figure companies and exiting and how they were going to do that. And for a long time, it just didn't really make sense to me. Like, how does that happen? But it's starting to make sense to me more now as I've been on my own and developing what I'm working on my end with my agency and with SaaS and all of that. But for you, it's very incredible to me that you knew immediately and you had that opportunity of what you wanted to do. Did it happen before your time at ASU when you figured that you really liked this building and developing and engineering and biomedical? Or how did you decide that you wanted to become a biomedical engineer?
Yeah, I think that quite honestly, I initially chose the path because it sounded hard. I think that I had very good understanding of chemistry and was good at math, and I liked the idea of potentially creating maybe therapeutics or medical devices to treat patients. And so that kind of like just fell in to place.
Okay.
And so and then I think one of the things that helped me the most is just outside research, outside the classroom, and really honing in
Yeah.
on answering and finding answers to problems.
Mm. So you've always been a problem solver.
Yeah, for sure. I think that even within aesthetics biomedical, like when someone has a problem, I typically will like try to solve it, even if it's not in my department. And so
Is that how you ended up being the head of 4 different departments?
yeah. I think it's a lot more than 4 at this juncture. But yeah, like I was doing IT the other day, and then had a phone call with service, like think about like different ways to like market warranties and like things like that. And so I think that like at the end of the day, in every single department within a startup, you do have to be a very good generalist and really just have this passion to really understand the business. I really tell my employees that too, is like, sure, you're doing the work, but do you understand like why you're doing it? Like
you like to know the why.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating too, because when you really think about it, when you know the why of something, you can create any solution that is wanted.
Yeah.
What is your main focus? Oh, we haven't even talked about SoMe, which is the
Yeah.
skincare that you invented. Briefly tell me about that.
Yeah. So, SoMe is a skincare product that utilizes your own platelet-rich plasma. And so, typically, if you're a patient, you would go into an office, you would get a blood draw, and then that blood would get spun down through a process called centrifugation, and then you would get your plasma, and then you would put it. Well, the provider would dispense it into the serum,
Hmm.
and the serum, while it's called skincare, it's just like a very good like biological buffer, really. It's a lot like almost like a liquid IV. Like if you look at the ingredients of a liquid IV in SoMe, it's very very close. Because at the end of the day, cells require electrolytes. They
Hmm.
require like glucose, which is food for the cell, potassium, sodium, magnesium,
Yep.
like all those key salts to really behave. And then also the SoMe skincare is at physiological pH. And so within your body, your pH is 7.4 typically. And so the pH of the serum is around 7.4. And so like when we put those platelets into the serum, they feel happy. It's like, oh, I'm still in plasma. I can
I
still
can still be who I truly am.
I don't need to degrade.
Yeah.
And so
There's some major analogies here for us for life, I feel like.
yeah,
We're
like
supposed to be where we're supposed to be with who we are, so we don't get downgraded, and you know what I'm saying?
yeah, you definitely don't want to degrade and like let go of your growth factors.
Growth factors are where it's
Yeah.
at.
Yeah.
There's analogies and growth factors for us.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so you're like, okay, let's put it in this serum. Let's put the growth factors and the PRP in this serum, and then we have to refrigerate it so that because they like to stay at a certain temperature in order to be happy, and then they can reactivate with the heat of our hands and our face, right? And and so that's part of what you've created as well. So inventors invent,
Yep.
right? Home builders build homes, inventors invent. So, what are your next inventions? Is it reworking the, however it works with SoMe? Is it continuing to figure out how we put the ultrasound in the RF handpiece for the
Yep.
Ultra? Is it both those things? Is there something else? What are you allowed to talk about?
Yeah. I think that just sticking with really ABM's mission is to like just provide like the best personalized medicine approaches in aesthetics. And
Okay.
so we have the ultrasound, which is personalized RF microneedling, and then you have SoMe, which is personalized PRP use or personalized skincare for the patient.
Yep.
And so I think that just honing in on um, like I would love to like utilize the data more to really um, get the Vivace to be more so on demand. So like any provider at any skill level gets great results. I think at the end of the day, and then also with like SoMe skincare, it's like how can we make this easier to the provider, but also just like how can we kind of optimize really that personalized skincare because we are like the only fresh growth factor product in the market. Everyone else, their growth factors have been inside of a warehouse for maybe up to 12 months before or on the provider shelf for a couple months before it gets to the patient's skin.
Mm.
And so this is fresh growth factor
Yeah.
for a personalized use. Yeah.
Is it the best product for what it does on the market in the world?
Like I think that a lot of products do a very good job. And one of the things that SoMe does very, very well is actually increasing luminosity of the skin. Like I can
You
guarantee
use it,
you,
right?
yeah, yeah.
You have very luminous skin, Shaun.
Thank
Luminosity
you.
levels are off the chart. We may need to take a sample here and figure out what's going on.
Right when I got into aesthetics, I was I barely use skincare, and I think the first thing that I tried to do is like, well, like I'm like after formulating so many, it's like, well, I know ingredients, and it's like, okay, like I need a skincare regimen.
I've never said to myself, I know ingredients. You're different. You're amazing.
Yeah, like a lot of
I know
people.
ingredients.
Well, so now like my friends will basically take their like skincare products or their like any product, just like, oh, like, well, what do you think of this? Like I'm just like some magic 8 ball on like it's like, oh well, this is going to work great for this
You should
based
say,
off the avocado oil in it.
right. You should say, try again later, like an 8 ball would.
Yes, exactly.
When you don't want to answer their question. Just the avocado oil or the olive oil is really good. Just
Yeah.
throw them off a little bit like that. That's awesome. So is there, other than continuing to make those two better and better and better, a CO2 laser or a different type of laser that you have up your sleeve?
Yeah. I think that combinational therapies are definitely kind of cornerstone for the med spa, and so I think that comparing or utilizing other laser modalities in the future is maybe a definite good approach, like a thulium or an erbium or
Yeah.
a CO2, something that's resurfacing that um, goes and it's very good synergy with RF microneedling,
Right.
where microneedling is very good at treating the deep dermis to the mid dermis, while like
But what about the epidermis,
CO2s,
right?
very like how can we get very good epidermal readouts, and
Yeah.
so like also like how can we use ultrasound to maybe modulate power of some of those modalities, and so um like our patents are just not on RF microneedling, like it's like how can like really like we patented really like a really good like a really nice ultrasound guidance system.
Yeah. And then maybe, would you ever make something that's a competitor of like the hydrofacial or the diamond glow that uses SoMe technology or ideologies, as well as, like, is there a need for that, or are those devices all you need anyway? You know what I'm saying? Like, is
Yeah,
there a better way to do those that you could think of and create?
yeah. I think that there's always a way to make something better. Like microdermabrasion is like really what like the hydrofacial and diamond glow are doing, and it's
Hmm.
like how can we dispense better serums into the
More
skin.
effectively, better serums
Yeah.
more effectively.
Yeah, and then I think with those systems, they're really strapped with really FDA regulatory,
Okay.
and so with those systems don't have to go through the FDA at the moment, and so because microdermabrasion, um, it's like the FDA has said that like they don't have to go through the FDA because it's just dermabrasion of the skin, but like there's also like I think in aesthetics there's going to be one day where a company does a finally does a combinational product with a serum and a device and gets that cleared, and that will be the day where you start seeing this paradigm shift, at least in aesthetic devices,
Hmm.
because that that will then give everyone else really that roadmap to really like how can we build better drug delivery devices for the skin,
Yeah.
and really treat the skin in ways that people haven't done before, or have done it but it's not super regulated and it's really experimental.
Yeah. Is it going to be you that does that?
Maybe.
Do you want it to be?
Yeah. I think that there's definitely like I think that it's a very nice challenge that like I could definitely see myself taking and um yeah, but it will take some a like a pretty good amount of resources
Sure.
to do that. Yeah.
Sure. That's awesome. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you would want to? There's one thing we do need to call out though.
What's that?
Is it true that you hold the record for the tallest person in the aesthetics world?
You know, like I haven't met anyone taller than me, but if you are out there, hit me up. Like we can be friends.
We'll need a
Yeah.
picture of the two of you shaking hands, just like these are the two tallest people in aesthetics.
Yeah. So actually, fun fact: 6'7" is the average height of an NBA player. So
Yeah.
maybe I'll just go on the court and like make some friends there or something.
Maybe you could. And then you can throw some SoMe on all of them and just say, you need this. You need this.
Yeah,
So
for
Devin
sure.
Booker, Kevin Durant, if you're watching this, this is Shaun. He can take care of your skin.
Yeah.
Maybe they actually will. That would be amazing. It's been a pleasure having you on here and listening to everything that you've done and that you're thinking about. And it's really fascinating to get your perspective on the way that things have evolved and happened
Yeah.
and how you look at a problem and you say, can I solve that? How would I solve that? Do I want to solve that? And then you take the steps in order to try to figure out what it's going to take in order to do that, so you can then get an accurate kind of proposal and paint an accurate picture of what's going to be happening, right? And then you take it to the team and Marianne and say, hey, what do you think about this? I think that there's a reasonable, market for this. I think there's reasons why we would want to try to take this into market. And it's really cool to be able to see that. It was also really neat for me to listen and kind of go through your thought process of the way that you've created and thought about certain things. And for my approach for my business and life as well, I like to think that everything is a stepping stone, that you just have the opportunity to take the step. You don't have to. And there's a lot of different paths and stairs that you can walk, right?
Yeah.
But it's our choice. Where do we decide to go every single day? And it's really cool. You're doing that. Like you're a really vibrant, you're a luminous example of someone who's doing that. It's an awesome thing to see. And I hope that you keep doing it, that you keep looking at the directions that you can go and just be like, yeah, this is something that will help a lot of people. This is something that will make the medical aesthetics world a lot better. This is something that I think that is needed and missing in the market, because it's not perfect and everybody's still trying to figure it out. And even really the past year is when I've started noticing a few leading providers saying, hey, we're using ultrasound.
Yep.
Here's why you absolutely need to do it. And the more that I think about it, I would never get filler. Well, I'm scared of certain injectables. I don't anticipate ever getting certain ones. But if I were going to, I would absolutely want that person to use an ultrasound on me.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, I've had radiofrequency microneedling before. I absolutely want that person to use an ultrasound so that they know exactly where they're going into my skin.
Yeah. Like I think that yeah, they should be using ultrasound when placing a needle, and I think that there's this great lines, like it's an art and a science.
Yeah.
And I think that there's great injectors that's very good at the arts, but you definitely have to respect the science.
Yeah.
To really keep your patient safe, and then also just enhance the results and make them last longer, because like injectables will last longer if it's placed in the right place.
Exactly.
And so that's where ultrasound comes into play.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for listening or watching. And until next time, take care of yourself, everybody.